This is my attempt at designing a coaxial helicopter. Several of you requested this in comments on this channel. Unlike my previous projects, namely the R-44 and the UH-60, this design is my own. It's inspired by other aircraft from researching technical reports and patents, but the design choices and sizing parameters are mine. This is also the part where I'm kind of perpetrating a fraud. Unlike those other aircraft that I'm qualified to make some comments and observations about, I've never actually even been up close to a coaxial helicopter. So let's learn together. This is a work in progress. I'm at the stage where I'm almost ready to export this to Blender to rig the control rods and kinematics between the dynamic components. But before doing that, I wanted to share my design choices with this audience. Think of this as a PDR for BZIG's coaxial helicopter. And like all preliminary design reviews, I'm ready for some constructive criticism in the comments. I may change the design based on your feedback. It'll help if I first explain the color conventions you see on the screen. I use green for the non-rotating components. Blue means counterclockwise rotating, and red means clockwise rotating components. I wasn't able to color the rotor hubs because these are copied components, and Fusion doesn't allow different colors for a copy. Let's start with some basic sizing. This is a small helicopter, like a drone or maybe a manned ultralight. The rotor diameter is 7.5 meters. The height from the bottom of the rotor mast to the upper hub is about 1.5 meters, and hub-to-hub separation is 610 millimeters, or 8.1% of the rotor diameter. For the blades, I used a NACA 63-015 symmetric airfoil with 6 degrees of twist and a chord of 180 millimeters. The blades are mounted in the grips with the quarter chord point in line with both the center of rotor rotation and the feathering axis. 1/4 chord is the blade's aerodynamic center, so this location is intended to minimize pitching moments during blade motion and control. The hub is a teetering hub with 1 degree of precone, and the blade grips are underslung by 50 millimeters. A teetering hub may not be the best choice for a coaxial due to the requirement for rotor-to-rotor separation, but I'm making a video, not a real helicopter. I thought it would be fun to model it this way. And this has been done at least once in history. Here's some images of the Gyrodyne QH-50. This is a circa 1960s unmanned aircraft. And from the photos I found online, this looks like a teetering hub, although every picture with the rotor stopped is at 0 flapping angle. This means the aircraft probably has a hub spring. And while hub springs aren't typical in teetering rotors, they've been used in the past. They help to increase control power and reduce the magnitude of flapping. To address blade-to-blade separation of my design, I had this idea of offsetting the pitch control arms from the center of flapping. This is a typical technique used to add delta-3 motion or pitch flap coupling to the blades. This increases aerodynamic stiffness, much the same as a hub spring does. But there's an issue I didn't anticipate. I didn't figure it out until I had most of this video complete. I'm going to have to change this design so the pitch arms are in line with the flapping axis. I'll explain why when I talk about the swash plates later in the video. Right now I'm showing plus and minus 10 degrees of blade flapping with the swash plate positions at maximum upward travel and maximum tilt. This is to show there's adequate clearance at extreme flapping angles. The blade's attached to the hub with several components, starting with a blade grip. The grip is installed over the spindle and bearings allow the grip to rotate for blade feathering. A tension torsion strap holds the grip, spindle, and hub together. And the upper and lower hubs are identical parts, except I designed the pitch change arms so they could be mounted in any orientation. The upper blade has a trailing edge arm, and the lower blade has a leading edge arm. This will be important when we talk about how the dual swash plates control blade motion, and it also relates back to the difficulty of introducing pitch flap coupling. Swash plates are the mechanisms that control blade feathering, and these were the most fun and challenging part of creating this. I'll start with the basics. The purpose of the swash plate is to control the blade pitch of both rotors cyclically and collectively. Just like a single rotor helicopter, blades are moved once per rotation cycle by tilting the swash plates. This is cyclic pitch change. And blades are moved at the same time by heaving the swash plate. This is collective pitch change. The challenge of a coaxial is doing this for two hubs rotating in two different directions. There are a few ways this could be done, but I chose this upper and lower swashplate arrangement. These are mounted in a controller-follower arrangement, so the pilot controls the lower swashplate, and 4 follower tubes transfer this motion to the upper swashplate. Earlier, I talked about mounting the pitch change arms 180 degrees out for the upper and lower rotors. If I didn't do this, cyclic pitch change would require the swashplates to tilt opposite one another. That simple change at the rotor hubs made it easier to create the controller-follower linkages between the upper and lower swashplates. And this is also the reason why I can't introduce pitch flap coupling by offsetting these pitch arms from the center of flapping. As you see things on the screen right now, the lower blades would have negative pitch flap coupling, meaning when the blades flap up, they would pitch down. This is what you want. This will minimize the amount of flapping of the lower rotor. But the upper blades, with the pitch control arms mounted on the blade trailing edges, would have positive pitch flap coupling, meaning when the blades flap up, they would also pitch up. Because the intent of this coupling is to minimize flapping, we want it to be negative on both rotors. I'm going to change this design and remove this delta 3 offset. The arrangement you see now allows collective and cyclic pitch at both rotor hubs, but it doesn't provide aircraft yaw control. To control yaw without a tail rotor, there needs to be a way to apply collective differentially to the upper and lower rotors. Differential collective will create a torque imbalance on the upper and lower mass that will cause the aircraft to yaw. Again, there's some different ways I could have done this, but I chose a differential collective control rod inside the center mast. Putting rotor controls in the mast is not limited to coaxials. The Enstrom product line features this technique where all control inputs are passed through the mast. I'm not showing the pitch control rods in the CAD. I'll save that for Blender. When that's complete, the animation should make it more apparent how the differential collective control works. I said the swash plates were the most challenging aspect of creating this 3D model. At first I thought I could reuse the parts and just flip the top swash plate upside down. But that didn't work. The upper and lower swash plates have to be different parts. I'll share the naming convention I came up with, and it may help understand what I'm talking about. The lower swash plate has a non-rotating ring and a rotating ring, just like a single rotor, single swash plate design. So far, nothing is different. But for the upper rotor, I called the bottom ring a non-rotating ring. It's clearly rotating, but it's rotating in the same reference world as the lower rotor system. Because all motion is relative to that, I called it a non-rotating ring. I called the top ring in the upper rotor the rotating ring. This is the one that controls upper blade pitch. If the terminology seems odd, it helps to look at the cross-section to see where the bearings are. Rings that rotate relative to their mass require bearings. These are rotating rings. Rings that don't rotate relative to their mass don't require bearings. These are the non-rotating rings. I'm not showing the pitch control rods, so it may be hard to see, but the lower rotating ring passes control motion directly to the lower pitch control arms. And the upper rotating ring will pass control to the walking beams on the differential collective tube. These will, in turn, connect to the blade pitch control arms. As of now, I've only modeled the upper and lower drive scissors. I still need to add the stationary scissors to the bottom of each swash plate. Hey, that's all I have for today. Apologies for leaving out most of the animation of kinematics between the components. Surprisingly, the computer-aided design software I use is much less capable at doing this than Blender. My next step is to import this design into Blender and then start rigging all of those motions in kinematics. I hope to get more videos out soon. Thanks for watching, and for those of you who suggested this project, thanks. It's been fun to put together.